Hello everyone, I have here the entirety of the first wave of LEGO Overwatch sets for 2019, plus the little earlier released Omnic Crisis Bastion over there in the corner. It was released earlier in 2018 and is available exclusively through the Blizzard store directly. I have 4 goals for this video, 4 main things that I want to accomplish. One, I just want to let you see what all these look like together to give you a better sense of their scale and kind of how they look together if you were to get multiple of them and display them in a little Overwatch, display a little Overwatch corner of your own personal space. 2, I want to show you the minifigures together. I'll extract all the figures, plus the big fig, plus the giant fig, maybe. All the figures, all the characters I'll extract and put together so you can see how they scale and how they look together as well. 3, I want to give you my personal opinions about this entire wave as a body of work together. And 4, and perhaps most importantly, I want to answer your questions, because I did a kind of I don't know what you call it, preview? Not really a preview. A video before this one asking for you to ask me questions for this video that you're now watching. So I'm going to answer a bunch of questions that were asked by viewers at that time. And also some of the feedback that I got at that time will help to influence some of the things that I cover with the earlier parts of the video. So first of all, here they are all together. It's just 6 sets plus the special edition Bastion, 7 in total. So not a whole lot, not enough to make a really compelling scene. I really feel like LEGO focused on getting as many of the characters out as official minifigures as reasonably possible, to help people to, well, first of all, collect them if they want the characters. A lot of people like to focus on the minifigures, but also to just have the basis, the most important things that really need to be manufactured by a company. And then from there you can start to build your own scenes and your own battle scenarios and your own maps, if you will, with other pieces. Obviously, they did not focus on any one particular location for buildings or terrain, so you're not really able to put the multiple sets together and create something that is greater, that really belongs together. So here's a lineup of all of the minifigures and other things that you can play with or as in the game. Obviously, the big Bastion over on the far right there is just intended to be a large display model, so that really properly doesn't count for the sake of comparison here, but I did want to show just exactly how that does scale relative to the others. And here's how things look with that one outlier removed. In fact, if you want to go a step farther and take it down to just players and playable things that are intended to be at the same scale, this is not a playable character here, so there you go. That's your proper lineup, I guess. Right, so these obviously are not scaled all that well. You don't have any variance between the figures themselves except for the Wraith form of Reaper that's slightly taller, and in reality you should have a tremendous amount of variation in overall heights. Winston is a bit large, the small version of Bastion is way too tall, the Diva mech is way too large, and certainly Reinhardt, fully armored up, is way too big. Of course, there's just a regular minifig inside there, but that's too small. My personal favorite minifigure, actual proper minifigure out of all of these, is Tracer right there, because it just looks good to me. It has nice bright colors. I like the hairpiece. I like the production values on it. They did really good with the face, with the goggles and the white there. It just looks very bright and proper, well done. Not so happy, the more I look at this, I'm not so happy with the Genji helmet, especially the print on it. Just the design for it feels extra caricatured and yet lacking in detail for the helmet. Strangely, I'm not that taken aback to this date by the color of the skin printed onto the torso for Hanzo, but I am just increasingly disillusioned with the look of Mercy's face. That's been well covered by now. However, I do feel like everything else about the Mercy figure looks great and couldn't have been done too much better. I also very much appreciate what they did for Reaper here. Yes, I did fix the shotgun that was wrong for some of these scenes in this video. Sorry about the tiny mistake there that a lot of people have really focused on, but I think the figure is nice. Winston looks good from some angles to me, doesn't look good from others. Overall, I feel that the face is a bit too human-shaped, especially as viewed from the side. It's too bad the little Bastion doesn't scale as well as it ought to have, especially considering that it does not have a transformative feature. It ends up being relegated to mostly just a display item to be used off to the side. Of course, you can just ignore that. You can definitely play with that with the figures, but if you're going for any sort of realism in a scene that you want to set up, stop motion or anything, then it kind of breaks that. Similarly, the Diva mech is definitely playable with the figure. The figure fits in there well, and you can just see it as being a huge mech. Reinhardt is just too large. And the more I look at that one, it's extreme just how far off it is. And again, especially considering its construction and its limitations, where you don't have knees and you don't have even nice looking legs. They don't look good just on static display. So I think if they were going to go for something that has so many limitations, it would have been better to try to scale that down quite a bit. It was a very enjoyable build, though. All three of these larger things were fun to put together as Lego creations. As far as my thoughts on these sets on the whole, and especially considering their builds, I did enjoy the build process for most of these items in all of these sets. So the actual assembly process was enjoyable. The whole Lego aspect of them was good to me, and I enjoyed checking out some of the pieces, some of the construction techniques, how they put those pieces together, how they employed some of the new or recent pieces to create nice shapes. That was all good stuff, even though I did have some specific issues with some of the sets, or some things that I didn't like about the finished products. They were good Lego builds. It was Lego first, Overwatch second for me, but that is partially because of my own personal experience. Not being an Overwatch player, I have played Overwatch a bit, but not a lot. So when I look at these, I see Lego first. I don't see Overwatch first. I'm confident that if this was a series of sets based on a game that I play or have played in the past quite a lot and really enjoyed, then my personal feelings would be a bit different. And I feel like I would be much happier with this entire series to get these representations of things from a game that I really enjoy. Because, overall, the focus here is on the figures, the characters, and then some iconic specific items that can be picked out from the theme, from the source material. And I think that Lego has done a pretty good job on that overall. All right, so how would I rank these sets? My personal favorite is the Diva mech and Reinhardt set because of the Diva mech. Even as a non-Overwatch superfan, I just think this looks cool. It was a good build as well. It's different, and the end result is posable and just interesting. It's just really interesting. Basically, when I look at all of this, I think of, okay, out of all that, if I could only have one thing, what would I have? It's that, and whatever set that comes in. In second place, I'm going to have to go with the big Bastion, just because, again, to me, personally, it looks cool. It's something that I would like to have on display, but if I wasn't able to afford that at the time, I would definitely go for the little one, which is a perfectly good substitute, much more affordable, and I really think it would have been nice if they had offered this up on just the regular market. It's not that difficult to get, but yeah, those all of these, strangely, the ones with the mechs are the highest rated from me personally, not because they have the mechs, but just because they, I think, are the most nicely done sets here. I have to give some props also to the Tracer versus Widowmaker set. This is a nicely presented set with, I think, pretty good value, and they did a little thing of allowing you to put a figure in a simulated cockpit there, which is going beyond what's canonical inside the game. Fourth place, I'm going to put Watchpoint Gibraltar. mostly because of the platform and the whole tower over here. I think that stuff just looks cool and has pieces used that we don't see that frequently and that are relatively, I don't know, just different. Again, it just kind of stands out. Personally, my brain, when I think of a vertical launch system, I want to see vertical rockets. I want to see boosters in some way. So it's difficult for my brain to really wrap around the idea of a vertical launch space plane like this. But the rocket itself, space plane, whatever you want to call it, is pretty good and has a lot of usable space in it. So that's good. Certainly my least favorite out of all of these is the Dorado Showdown, just because, like I mentioned in the review, it kind of feels empty to me. I feel like the designer did a good job given the budget for it and given the source material and everything. I think the truck could have been done a little bit better, a little bit more mean looking. But overall, it just feels lacking. I think the figures are fine and all, but to me, the Genji versus Hanzo Showdown is just cooler looking and seems more useful and usable. So let me get to some of the viewer questions that were posed by many of you on that previous video where I asked you to kind of set things up for this overview and summary video. Some things were asked multiple times by different people in slightly different ways, so I can kind of combine some of those. And one of the questions that came up frequently is, what do I think in general about LEGO doing a series of sets for Overwatch? And that's kind of divided into a few subtopics there. One of them, what do I think about the whole idea of them going into a strictly violent theme? Something that's just about shooting each other. That's really what you do in Overwatch. You shoot other players. Yeah, you have escort missions, and the true goal of an escort mission is to escort, but you do it by shooting the other players. It's primarily a violent theme. And what do I think about that? Well, LEGO has done a lot of violent themes. Whether they are willing to admit it openly or not, they've done a ton of themes that are focused on violence and shooting in particular with firearms. I mean, you look at this guy here, he has a revolver in his hand. That's a mold that LEGO introduced decades ago. And even before they had that mold available, they were doing entire themes that involved shooting people, cutting people, blowing things up. They've done tons of violent stuff. I think that the original founders' concept of not glorifying violence in a realistic way is just not applicable, because you could easily see that they have broken those promises countless times for decades. It's nothing new. So I don't have a problem with that, because I don't have a problem with what LEGO has done up to this point, and I'm not going to be hypocritical and try to suddenly take a stand. There may be some point that'll come when they will go into a theme and I will be morally opposed to it, but this definitely is not that time. This is not that theme. What do I think about them doing first-person shooter video games in general? I am all for it. I want them to do more. So many LEGO fans are also gamers. So give us gaming-related LEGO stuff. Why not? A lot of us like collectibles. I have bought plenty of collectible-related things related to games that I have played in the past. I have collectibles related to games I've played in the past and present right now. So I'm also a fan of LEGO. So combine those things together, and it's great. Maybe you won't see as many kids who, let's say, are fans of Overwatch, who play Overwatch, and who get these sets. Let's say a kid gets all of these sets. Maybe you won't see as much actual playing with the figures as you would with another theme, because you can always just open up the game and just play it there and do so much more. But still, as collectibles, they're cool, and as things to display, they're cool. So I think that the idea in general makes sense. What about Overwatch in particular, though? Well, obviously, they're a bit late to the game, right? Literally and figuratively. Did not intend to make that pun there. Overwatch is still is still portrayed quite a bit in gaming media as an esports thing, but realistically, it's not something that has a whole lot, a tremendous portion of the gaming community excited right now and playing it. It is diminished. There are still plenty of people out there playing Overwatch every single day and enjoying it, which is great. And there are plenty of people who like to call anything that is not the most popular game presently a dead game. Is Overwatch a dead game? No. But LEGO is definitely late to come out with this. And part of that comes from the fact that they started developing these sets more than a year. I'm sure at least, certainly more than a year before they actually came out. So when they started the whole business talks, with Blizzard, Activision, whoever they were mainly liaising with, Overwatch was much more popular at the time, and they just couldn't predict. They couldn't predict Fortnite, for example. They couldn't predict Apex Legends. So that's always going to happen when you have a long lead time to actually producing products. So yes, they are late. Let me move on to another viewer question. Capness, CAPNESS 1228 asks, what's worse, Wasp's helmet or Mercy's face? Oh, that's such a tough question. But looking at it from an accuracy perspective and kind of just respect to the source material, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to go with Wasp's helmet. It's just so bad. It's just so far away from how it should actually look. Pumpkin Ore, I know it's gonna go crazy that I actually read his comment. He asks, which is worse, Mercy's face versus First Order ATST? Get out of here with that question. First Order ATST by a country mile. Come on. Here's another Mercy-related one from Johan Stridum. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He asks, looking at the rendered box art of the Mercy minifig's face compared to the final product, do you think that's borderline false advertising? Well, first of all, I am not a lawyer, so I cannot professionally comment on the consideration of false advertising from a legal perspective, But just as a dude looking at these things, and particularly as a LEGO fan looking at these two, yeah, that's really bad. If it was a little bit different, come on, you can be reasonable, Things don't have to be exact. You want them to be exact, but there can be, some room for error. But this is really bad. This is really, really bad. Particularly looking at these side by side. It's really bad. So, yeah, they are not delivering what they promised there. It is significantly not as portrayed and described by the marketing materials and packaging. So, yeah, I think they have messed up quite royally there, and they need to fix that badly. I can just keep the box here for Manza Zappers, who asked, I understand the art style used, but does the box arts look pre-rendered? And which side of the box art do you like better? Yes, it absolutely looks pre-rendered because it is. If I'm not mistaken, this is all computer rendering, not just the background, but the actual pictures of the products, all computer generated, just like that. But I mean, at least these are showing you workable poses for everything, whereas that's showing like, the bent legs and everything that you can't actually do. But yeah, this is 100% rendered as far as I can tell. And of course, this is 100% rendered as well. I personally like the fact that they've tried something different with their box art here. And I'm glad that internally, with LEGO's whole internal processes and all their teams and everything, they were able to allow this to actually happen, to take the Overwatch typefaces and overall style, visual style. I think that they should be a little bit more brave like that more frequently. A lot of LEGO fans have not liked this, and that's fine. I think some people don't like it because it's different, and some don't like it probably because of the relatively low contrast. Let me grab another box and look at, like this is probably a worse example of that style. It just doesn't have a lot of pop. It feels like it needs more contrast, just in general. It doesn't focus on the toys. And also, it does what they've done here in particular versus the front of the box version is they've kind of dulled down the edges a bit. So everything is looking less crisp and everything is more procedurally gradiated. Like you look there, it's a little bit more artificial. So I don't like that part of it, but I do like the background style. I think that this one turned out better. It obviously varies from one to the next, but I personally would like to see them be brave like this and to try more different things with their packaging. Vintage Bricks asked, do you think the hover truck could be made into a regular flatbed truck for any LEGO city?
Absolutely.
It'll probably take more parts than you would expect for such a simple and straightforward, switch over, but it's definitely doable and would probably look pretty cool. Do be aware, though, that would make an 8-stud wide pickup truck. So it would be large. It would be a bit overscale compared to the usual 6-stud width that they use today for pickups and SUVs. Finn36, Cars, Lego, and Gaming asked, are you already Tracer? No, I wanted to be Tracer, but somebody already was, so I guess I'll be Bastion. A user named Simply Train said, Nerf Bastion. Okay. A fair number of people asked if I would integrate some or all of this stuff here into the Mellenby district, the area of my LEGO city that's underground. It's kind of its own little world, kind of cyberpunky, semi-futuristic area that doesn't follow the same rules as the top of the table area. Well, I thought that was a really good idea to at least consider, but now that I have all this stuff here together for the first time, I'm not seeing a lot that I want to integrate down there. The thing that I would like to use most somewhere in some way is all this, the Watchpoint Gibraltar setup. But where and how? I mean, I'm not going to have a rocket launch facility underground. I mean, I could, but I would need to have some suggestion of how the vehicle would actually exit up above. And I don't know, it's just not working for me. I think the thing that's most likely to get integrated down there would be the truck from the Dorado Showdown set. But again, its scale is off, and if anything, I want to go with a smaller scale for vehicles down there. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull it off. Maybe I can get one of the mechs down there. Maybe I can get some of the pieces of the figures or the figures themselves in as little Easter eggs or something. I did get a second version of this set, a second box of this set, because I wanted to consider doing some custom stuff. Maybe I'll, earmark that for Mellenby. I'm just not sure. A lot of people asked if I think LEGO should or will make more game-related themes and sets, and I definitely think they should and will. And Bronze Games, in particular, asked, would you like to see more LEGO from the Blizzard universe? Yes, I would. I would like to see an entire StarCraft theme, although that's a bit old now as well, but maybe if they make another StarCraft game, that would be a good time to do it. And I personally wouldn't mind Warcraft. Not World of Warcraft, but actual Warcraft. I think that could make a pretty cool castle-type theme that would have some fairly realistic castle-type and medieval-type stuff with just Warcraft figures. Kill two birds with one stone. Dragonfire asks, how many minifigures fit in the space shuttle from Watchpoint Gibraltar? Well, here are a bunch of random minifigures. Let's see. The correct answer is 18 adults plus one dog. 16 adults back here plus the dog, and then one in each cockpit. I am 100% positive that with a more efficient arrangement than this, you can fit more in there than that. But yep, all of these are standing up, and I'm able to close this. There you go. A viewer named Nina asked, is there a good value to these sets if you are not a fan or player of Overwatch? That's just too subjective. I think that if you look at any one of these sets and you like it, even if you're not a fan of Overwatch, and then you look at the price of the set and you're like, that's not bad. There you go. There's your answer. But it's just going to vary from person to person. I personally have already given you my thoughts about some of these things as someone who's not a super Overwatch fan or regular player. Some of these things I like. As for their values, I mean, I've covered those individually in each review. It varies a little bit. It really just comes down to that personal desire. I definitely do not think there's anything here that is a must-buy for just regular LEGO fans of things like, city sets and other regular minifigure-related things. I think that if you want to get one thing from this entire series and you're not a fan of Overwatch, get my favorite, because I really do think that you'll enjoy this build. It'll just bring something to your life, that is new, I think. Otherwise, go with your heart and your wallet. Here's a related comment from Sturmwind, who says, I'm a fan of space themes, but not a fan of Overwatch. I like the look of the Watchpoint Gibraltar set, and particularly the tower. I feel you there. Do you think this set satisfies the needs of general space theme fans? I do not. I think the tower does, but I don't think the rocket does, or the space plane, because it doesn't have rockets. It doesn't have boosters. I feel like that's something that's super, super important for a vertical launch system. Sorry, that's just something that I can't get over. I think it needs rockets, or it needs for that space plane to be launched a different way. These two just really don't go together right, I think, for normal space theme needs. Twin Nova says, Jang, why do you feel LEGO did not sell these for the holiday season rush? Seems like another bad business decision by LEGO for a good product line. I think the answer to that is inventory management. One of the worst things for companies that make products is to have a lot of unsold inventory. It's something that really holds them back in terms of their core financials. So it's very important for companies to sell off all the stuff that they actually make, not to have them sitting on shelves for too long. That is why LEGO generally puts out new stuff, including in this case, Overwatch came out the day after Christmas. In the late holiday, beyond the holidays, the period immediately after the holidays. Some stuff does come out before, but it's not supposed to. And that's just to force consumers to buy stuff that's already on shelves. It's to try to clear out old stock to make room for the new. That's really all it is. And it's actually a very, very, very good and critical business decision. Recnid, R-E-C-N-I-D, is curious. Why are you doing this for LEGO Overwatch specifically? Haven't seen you do an AMA or Ask Me Anything type thing for other themes. Well, Recnid, I had to start somewhere, and I happened to finish my reviews for this theme first, and it's a small number of sets, so it was just a good starting point. I will try it for other themes as well, and if people like how it turns out, then I'll do it for more in the future. If nobody likes it, then I won't do it again. Ninjago Lego 07 has another package-related question. How are the boxes still closed, but you already opened them up to review? Scotch tape. The last question I'm going to answer is this one from Max Mox. Do you think LEGO will forward an Ogre Watch line? O-G-R-E watch. Well, Max Mox, if you're referring to the fourth encounter of Rank 6 in Brawlers Guild Season 3 in World of Warcraft, no. I think that ship has sailed. And that is it for now. I didn't get to every single question, but I hopefully got to a lot of them, and hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Your feedback is important to me. I look at, real comments always, and I don't just prioritize things that get a lot of thumbs up. I definitely do not prioritize things that are posted early on, right after a video is uploaded or anything. Everything has the same weight to me. I'm not able to answer everybody's questions, even on something like this, but like I said, your feedback does matter, because ultimately all this is just entertainment for all of you. So thanks for watching. If you have any specific questions about my thoughts about any individual set, be sure to check out the full reviews. You can go back and find those in the LEGO Overwatch playlist on my channel, or just search for Jangbricks and the name of the set. And if you want to see these being built, I've got builds for all of them except for this little one over here on my build channel, including one video that has just all of them back to back to back. Catch you later.